So I bet you guys thought I was going to start off with somebody else, didn't you? Surprise, motherfuckers. So the first grifter we're going to talk about here is this android, this Terminator-looking motherfucker, uh, who we will call the president. So what's the problem with this guy? Well, where do we want to start? First of all, his current slogan is "Make Women Great Again," which is kind of goofy, and he's trying to play off of, the actual president of the United States, sort of his thing. It's kind of goofy, but it's whatever, right? But unfortunately, what this guy has been up to behind the scenes is a lot more sinister than that. We'll start with the fact that he has accused Rollo Tomassi of doxing the location of a cigar bar to feminist reporter Nellie Bowles, which we will cover in a segment after this one, real quick. And keep in mind, I will try to keep links to everything that I'm talking about in the description. So if you want to do your own investigation and see it for yourself, which I recommend you do if you really want to, know the truth, look into it. Please don't just take my word for it. I will tell you, I have no reason to lie. I get nothing out of this other than the satisfaction of exposing these motherfuckers for what they've been doing. So let's get started. So there's the accusation against Rollo, which if you watch my video, I believe it's called The Warning, where I try to warn the so-called president here of another grifter known as the burglar. I try to warn him, like, this guy can't be trusted. You've all seen my infamous video of the burglar at the National Organization of Women giving a speech about why we need $15 an hour minimum wage. You're all probably aware of that if you're a regular watcher of my channel. But I tried to warn this guy. My words went unheeded. In fact, he said nothing. He let the burglar do the talking, which I find interesting for, this supposed tough guy here. Well, I come to find out that he had paid, now this is third hand, but I find it to be plausible. Keep that in mind. But allegedly, we'll say that, he had paid the burglar $1,000 to do the hit pieces on Rollo Tomassi, and also create a paper that looks kind of similar to a legal document, but it's just full of shit and taken out of context. Put it to you that way. Not only that, but he's also, from what I can gather now, he's also got another stooge to do some attacking for him now that the burglar's been sufficiently smacked around pretty well. Again, we'll get to that when the time comes. But his new stooge is Sidney P. Ragoonath, also known as MGTOW Dictionary, who he's been having, I believe, allegedly, allegedly having this guy dox Rollo Tomassi and his daughter and his wife, and he's having him dox Modern Life Dating and his family, and much more. He apparently has, I believe, been doxing Donovan Sharp, some of these other guys. And I'm quite positive that the president here is pulling the strings. So there's that. But also, what I found interesting is I heard that this guy, I'm sure everyone is aware of his conventions, like the 21 Convention, 21 Studios, or what have you. So he doesn't pay his speakers. Now, if you're someone from the Rule Zero crew, please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but from my understanding, he doesn't even pay his speakers. What he essentially does is he organizes these conventions, and that's it. Like, he basically does some of the marketing for it. He gets arranges the location and all that. But when it comes to actually, like, being a good speaker and shit like that, he doesn't do fuck all. Granted, he's got some guys, some cool dudes to come to his convention and shit. I will say that. I'll give him that. Or at least some of them were going to, and then they canceled. But, hell, even the video you're looking at, this is cringy as fuck. If you haven't heard this video yourself, listen to it. This is some of the cringiest shit I've ever heard. And I'm quite positive, and the Rule Zero crew also, came to the same conclusion before they ever spoke to me, that this guy's little speech was written by the burglar. So the guy can't even write his own fucking speeches. Anyhow, to continue, we're going to go to the next segment, which is basically going to show what actually happened with the feminist and the cigar bar. So we will see you there. Alright, so the first thing we're going to cover is the accusation made by the so-called president that Rollo Tomassi doxed the location of the cigar bar. So how are we to do that? Well, thankfully, this guy right here, Nobody at Breathe TYB, did a pretty good job of covering it. And this is a fairly long thread that goes through everything that happened, which I will link in the description of this video. So we'll scroll down to where it gets a little more important. Let's see here. Okay. Interesting. All right, here we go. This is what I was looking for. This one right here. We see that Rollo is accused of doxing the location of an after party at a cigar bar to feminist reporter Nellie Bowles, and he points out that Anthony had agreed to this. I believe the intent was for them to do interviews after the convention with some of the speakers there, which of course the reporter, being a reporter, is going to know these guys are going to probably be out and about, either before the convention, out partying, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out when a group of guys, where they might go. But we'll continue. Now he's talking about screenshots. He points out that these screenshots were provided by Anthony Johnson, but they actually come out and support Rollo Tomassi's case. All right. So let's look at the screenshot he's talking about here. First, the screenshot from 9 months ago is that is alleged, to represent Rollo's invitation to Nellie. That doesn't look like an invitation to me. That looks like a vague middle of a conversation. Pay special attention to the time of Nellie's first words, 10:42 p.m., and stay with him. So let's look at it. Let's blow this up for a second. Should I come say hi? 10:42. Truly, I don't know how to play all this. So you're going to have to tell me. If I come, will it be a big scene? Now this, obviously, he was triple texting Rollo from 10:42 to 10:54. Now at 11, we're all perfect gentlemen. We've got 5 guys who want to talk with you now. Says, then I'm there. I don't even smoke, and I need a cigar right about now. All right, so let's see here. Forward 9 months to last Sunday, where Ivan Throne grills Rollo if he docks the location of the cigar lounge. It's going to get interesting, guys. Ivan, did you dox the location that night of the gathering? That is a yes or no question. Rollo, every fucking guy at the convention was posting pics of the cigar bar that night. And just FYI, here you go. This is going to be important because the next screenshots. Now, keep in mind, Ivan Throne is kind of a big name. And we're going to show you a screenshot that of a picture he took for his Instagram. And nobody says, but since it wasn't, we need to look into Rollo's claim that everyone was posting pics of the cigar bar lounge that night. Sure enough, Ivan Throne posted a pic that gave away the location. And as you can see on your screen now, right? Now, as I mentioned, a feminist reporter is still a reporter. She can figure this shit out. If she knows some of the big names that are going to be at a particular location, it's not hard to look them up. Look up their socials. They're going to probably say, hey, I'm going to be here this night at this time. Or, as you can see here, posting pictures of themselves enjoying a cigar at the very cigar lounge in question. All right. But when was it posted? Maybe he waited until just before midnight. Nope. Instagram web browser version reveals the ISO 8601 time of Ivan's post and it was 10:11 p.m., a full 31 minutes before Nelly first messaged Rollo. So we're gonna look at this. So whenever you guys who know code will be able to recognize this. Okay, there you go. Do we really think, and this is what I was pointing out, but do we really think a New York Times reporter who was in town on Anthony's invite couldn't track down the cigar bar using this open source info? And if that wasn't enough, Ivan wasn't the only one who gave up the location before the event was over on their Instagram. Oh, look who it is. Our old friend, George. Who else? Huh, interesting. All right, to continue. Some of the same people who accused Rollo of doxing the location doxed the location. Ain't that a bitch? All right, and even Rich posted about it, as we can see. There's our boy Bruno, and there's Rich Cooper, who did not actually say where he was at, as nobody points out. Was able to maintain OPSEC by not giving away the location. There you go. See, so now we're starting to see who is the more intelligent people in this situation, aren't we? So what gives? If these guys doxed the cigar lounge and we have hard evidence of it, why are they still in but Rollo is out, even though we have zero hard evidence that he doxed anything, just a woman's word? Yeah, listen and believe, guys. Something just doesn't add up, as the man says. So let's continue. But I'm going to look in my spare time. There are also a bunch of other screenshots that I should add to give more context to some of the players, so let's check them out. So, boy, the president here even tags Nelly about it being there, so it wasn't a mystery that she was going to show up there. Okay. And this is from Nelly, where she mentions she was invited by Rollo and Anthony to be there, at least at the convention, not necessarily the cigar bar. Let's be very clear about that. But again, as we already showed, it wasn't hard for her to track down where the cigar bar was. And he provides more screens where other people, Jack Murphy, I can't remember, is that the guy? I'm not, let me just not say that. The point of all this is these individuals were, have been in contact with Nelly Bowles. All right, there's my boy, brother Morpheus. All right, bonus screenshot that further explains Nelly's intention to find the group that night for an off-the-record conversation. So we will put that on the screen. But again, I recommend you guys look at this thread in the description. I'll have this and more in the description of this video. And another bonus, he says, Anthony doxed the location of the hotel the event was at before the attendees had left to the mainstream media reporter. Ouch. Okay. Looks like that tweet got taken down. The bonuses keep rolling in. So this is, I guess he had been doing this over a period of time. That tweet is unavailable. But the so-called president thinks he fired these guys. Let's be clear. Rich left over some of the stuff we've talked about before on my channel. And that was shortly thereafter, Slavo Babo, aka Dysfunctional Diabetes Judas, betrayed TFM. Some angry MGTOW dudes decided they were going to dox his daughter's YouTube, and that caused a real shit show, because the Red Man Group was blamed for taking old Slavo Babo away from them, when this was actually something that he planned from the get-go, because I believe he thought he was too big and too important to be, you know, a part of the TFM show, as part of his narcissism. But let's continue. Let's see if there's anything left in this thread. All right, that's all there is for this thread. I recommend, again, look at it for yourself. Don't just take my word for it, and we will move on. All right, so let's get to the conclusion. I want to talk about a few things before we end this. So I talked to some people who are so out of the loop that they still think that Rollo Tomasi, Rich Cooper, and some of these other guys were part of the Red Man Group. So let me try to briefly explain what happened and why that's not the case. So essentially, the burglar wanted to be part of the Red Man Group. And Rollo Tomasi had said that as long as he was a part of the Red Man Group at the time, that the burglar would never be a part of the Red Man Group. So that led the burglar and the president here to basically concoct a plan to get rid of the other two people who were basically, I want to say, essentially shareholders, I guess you could say, of the Red Man Group. Again, I recommend you look at the videos that I will have linked in the description and listen to those accounts of it. But after the burglar stabbed TFM in the back, which he had planned on doing because he wanted to be a part of the Red Man Group and he thought he was too good for TFM's audience, he wanted to, expand himself to what he thought was a larger audience. So after he stabbed TFM in the back, which we've covered already in another video, the plan was they had to get rid of Rich Cooper, who was, I believe, a 1/3 shareholder in the Red Man Group, and this was accomplished because nothing was done to quell the issues after the burglar betrayed TFM. And so they blamed the Red Man Group for it, and they came after, one of their targets was Rich Cooper. And they went after Rich Cooper's daughter. They attacked his daughter's YouTube channel. And these are just like certain MGTOW people who, I guess, were upset. The MGTOW dudes who were upset, and they thought that the Red Man Group was taking the burglar away from the MGTOW community, that they were somehow behind it. And they kind of were, but not Rich or Rollo or any of those guys. It was the president here that was behind it. So there's that. So they ended up running Rich Cooper off. He just got sick of that shit, so he left. So that essentially left Rollo and the president here. So how did they get rid of Rollo? Well, they got rid of Rollo over what we've already covered, the supposed doxing of the location of the cigar bar, which, as we've already showed, that didn't happen. That didn't happen that way. So they locked Rollo out of the Red Man Group. So, so now, yes, the burglar, I believe, is an official part of the Red Man Group, which is embarrassing. But anyhow, point being is that you guys need to stop being confused about the Red Man Group and Rule Zero. Rule Zero is the new group that Rollo Tomasi, Rich Cooper, and some of the other guys who didn't want to deal with, the fuckery that came out of 21 Studios, Red Man Group, whatever. And they went and formed their own group, which is more successful, obviously, far more successful. So try not to get confused about that. So yeah, that pretty much covers it for this episode of Guilty Grift X. So we'll see you on the next one, and it's going to be random, so you may be surprised. See you all later.